It's late.
It's
late
late.
as always.
We went to Texas. We came back from Texas.
There were
Now
many.
we're here for the podcast because we didn't do last week because I forgot my laptop.
You forgot your laptop, and I brought the microphone to Austin, but you did not bring the damn computer to Austin.
I brought the laptop charger, guys. We're good.
Brought the charger. Just no laptop. So that works out.
I got home and I just see my laptop chilling right there on the laptop stand where I usually take my Boy Meets World editing pics. And I looked at it in shame. And I'm like, you piece of shit.
So because of that, we missed a week. And we have not missed a week since.
We haven't missed a week in like 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
But
speaking of Boy Meets World, Basil,
yes,
can you explain to me how all of a sudden Sean becomes a photographer and then photography goes nowhere, but all of a sudden he's a poet?
This is a good intro. Tell us, Basil.
Wait, for who?
Sean
Hunter.
Oh, how Sean Hunt, and then he becomes a. You know what? I mean, there was what.
Were you subconsciously influenced by Sean?
He hated poetry. He actively hated poetry.
No. He didn't hate poetry. He didn't want his poetry out there because he was shy of it.
No, in the episodes where they read poetry in class, he groaned, and then when Frankie took them to poetry readings, he did not understand it.
No, but remember in college, he was...
Yeah, he writes for himself and only himself, and that's how he gets his thoughts out.
Yeah, but then when
he had doing it as long as he can remember. But he said he hates poetry when he was in high school.
But check this out. He had nobody. Corey moved on with his life. Corey and Topanga moved on with their life. Eric went to be squirrels.
Squirrels? What does that mean?
Oh my god.
Just watch the show, Trent.
I watched it when it aired. I don't remember this stuff.
This is an AAW conversation, so see your way out of it.
I love how I'm being told that on my own podcast. That's great.
You have to watch. Didn't you watch Girl Meets World at all?
No.
Okay, see, there were so many loose ends that got tied up in Girl Meets World with characters like Mr. Hunter and all that stuff. But this is my theory. Sean had nobody. Like Angela went to go live with her dad and then probably got married to somebody else. And Corey and Topanga moved to New York because of Topanga's lawyer job. Eric went to be squirrels, and and then Jack moved on. He became, remember in the 10-year episode, he became rich and all that stuff. He moved on, and him and Sean didn't talk. So Sean literally had nobody but himself. So the poetry was the only way for him to express his feelings, and he didn't have to say to them anybody directly. He would just get them published. He was never a public speaker. He would just have his poems published. So that's my theory on it.
All I'm saying is he said he hated it when he was in high school. And I know people change and stuff, but he changed to being a photographer. Then he changed to, I'm going to take just a couple of classes at Pembroke, to a full-time college student who writes poetry.
Hey, man. Solidarity. Or not solidarity. What is it? Not solidarity. What's the word I'm trying to think of? I'm horrible with words. I take pictures. Fuck you.
I don't know. But with that, Basil, welcome back, everybody, to the Backstage Boys.
Damn, that was 4 minutes. I am so sorry, guys.
You guys went on a 4-minute tirade about Boy Meets World. That's probably our greatest intro we've ever had. The greatest subliminal intro.
You're welcome.
Back. Thank you, Nate. That voice you guys hear is none other than referee Nate Speckman. Nate, say hello to the people.
Hi, people.
And we introduced our guest before us, Basil, but this is Trent along with my co-host,
Basil.
And we're back with episode 24. This is a shit show already. Episode 24. We missed last week, which should have been episode 24, which should have been a preview of Austin, but it wasn't.
Guys, there was a lot of matches that happened. That's the preview episode.
Thick. Yeah, there's a preview episode.
Thick
Thick week. We're here now. Referee Speckman is on his way back from Dayton, Ohio. He's in the car. He did not want to miss this episode, unlike Rob Malinowski, who missed this episode, who is our videographer,
Pussy
director,
shit.
because he is weak. He's sick. But Referee Speckman is back on his way back from Rockstar Pro in Dayton, right? You were there for training. Nate, you want to just give a little background what you were doing, what was going on? What's happening?
So I would have been there for training, but training didn't happen today. Rockstar is moving to a new building. They had their last show last week on Wednesday, and they are. It was called Last Call, actually. And they have their first new show in their new building will be March 1st. It's a partner show with Impact Wrestling. The new building is called Turnbuckle and Bruise. It is still I think still in Dayton. It might be in a suburb of, I don't exactly know, but it's really close. It's just like a 10-minute drive from the other venue. So I was just helping them clean shit up and throw shit away and move shit to the new building. So
nice. And when is that partner show with Impact?
March 1st.
March 1st. All right, cool. Is that going to be brought? Is that a Twitch special? Do you know?
As of right now, I do not know.
All right, cool.
March 1st, I believe, is a Twitch special because that's the partnership one with Impact.
Right, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying that one will be a Twitch show because all their Impact partnership shows that they've done have been Twitch ones.
That's awesome. Nate, are you planning on being there?
All I'm saying is it hasn't been announced yet. So
I see. I saw a little like preview. I saw like some artwork for it that I think the OVE or Sammy might have put out or something. I saw that, but no other details on it. But yeah, it had the Impact and Rockstar Pro logo on it. So that's cool. That's very cool. I'm going to be watching that. It's fun. It's fun to see people on broadcast television. So that's fun. Well, cool. So guys, we're back from Austin, Texas. This was the second AAW show in Austin. I missed the first one. Basil, you made that one. Nate, you were not at that first one either. But we had a blast going down to Austin. This was fun, guys. This was a lot of fun. We went down for Lucha City Limits at the AFS Cinema. What a great time. Aside from the show, I loved going with you guys. It was the three of us, along with Rob Malinowski and Brian Nalesny, who was another production gentleman on the staff. So we all went down. Danny Daniels was there. Total blast. Nate, you came a day after us, but you definitely made it, which is great. Total fun, guys. Real quick before we jump into the show, just thoughts on Austin. This time actually, Basil, you got to see the city a little more than last time, so I'll start with you.
Last time was fucking hell. I'm never driving to Austin ever again in my life. That was the worst freaking idea I've ever had. But this time we flew Southwest, which was amazing both ways.
What a great flight.
The 2 free checked bags, super clutch because I was able to take promo pictures. We were able to bring everything that we needed. It worked out fantastic. The flights were great. The staff on the flights were fantastic. So thank you, Southwest, for giving me a great time because the last time I actually flew American when I flew to New York to do Joey Janela's Loss in New York and watch NXT TakeOver. And both flights there and back were delayed well over 2 hours. So this was a nice change of pace. And I actually, because of how well Southwest was, I canceled my American Airlines flight for Mania weekend back to New York and switched it to Southwest.
No kidding, really?
Pay the $20 for insurance, kids, on your flights.
It's worth it, huh?
Yep, got my money back and gave Southwest my money. It cost me $15 more to fly with Southwest, but 2 free checked bags, priceless. When you're a photographer.
Clutch. Nate, you had a different flight route. You did not go directly to Austin. You ended up where? On what airline?
I flew back home on United, and I flew to Texas on American. And I must have been drunk when I came up with my travel plans. I don't know, because I had a layover in Dallas for some reason.
Some reason. How long was that flight between Dallas and Austin?
It was like an hour.
Like an hour, okay. Cool. That's then yeah, Basil, I was on the flight with you. Great town. We got to go out Thursday night. We went to 6th Street. We ate some great food. We went out to Salt Lick, which is a very popular place.
Almost died on the way there and back.
Oh yeah, Danny Daniels is an insane driver. He almost goddamn one of the scariest car rides I've ever been in my life. He called us sissies for being scared of his driving, but I think we were all scared, and to the point where I think Brian got sick in the back. Rob was speechless and texting me saying, "This is it. It's been nice knowing you." We were sending each other memes that were pretty much signaling our demise. But in about 30, 40 minutes, we made it to Salt Lake and back. Back, he was a little better, right, Basil? He was not as nuts back because I told him, look, there's no rush to go back. So if you can just take it easy.
We were trying to rush to get there because I think we got there, an hour or so before they closed, and we wanted to have some time to eat and not feel rushed out.
Yeah.
So Danny Daniels still got it.
Still got it. Still got it.
Made us all pretty nauseous. And then on the way back, when he dropped us off at our car, we literally were all heaving outside of the car. When he left, he dropped us off. We were just we're like, give us a minute before we get in the car, because we had, not only did we have all that barbecue in us, but we made the great decision to go to Voodoo Donuts beforehand. Before barbecue, which was a horrible idea.
Horrible idea and a total letdown, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's just Voodoo Donuts is just regular donuts with a bunch of shit on top. And they're like,
oh yeah, they have one of those in Denver, and I went there, and it's like cereal on top of a donut.
and they think it's like a big deal, right, Nate? Like they were acting like this was like the second coming of donuts, man.
Dude,
I don't even think I ate their donut. I just really like their bumper stickers.
Yeah, their gimmicks were cool. They're like I was like, oh, their merge is actually not bad. But yeah, they're out of Portland. I heard all this hype, and then I heard they're in Denver and then Austin. I'm like, what in the hell? This was not worth the hype at all.
I texted Brian Cage. I was like, yo, dude, I'm at Voodoo Donuts, because we have this like donut rivalry. Like every time I'm at like stands or he goes somewhere in LA, we just send each other pictures of donuts just to make the other person jealous. And I was at Voodoo, sent him the picture of like the donut case, and then 15 minutes later I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, you shouldn't even feel bad that I'm here.
No, absolutely not. But we also took in Torchy's Tacos, which is great.
Torchy's was great. That lived up to the hype.
Yes, Torchy's was good.
Even though they charge us for an extra thing of chips and queso when we didn't need the.
We got conned. That low talking guy totally conned us into more stuff. But
customer service wasn't the best, but the food made up for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Great town to eat, man. I absolutely love that town. It is one of the weirdest towns I've ever been to, but so cool because of its weirdness. I really enjoyed how bizarre some of the architecture was and the artwork. It was just nuts. But a great place. I learned something on that drive with Danny Daniels. Nate, you'll find this really interesting, actually. We found out the origin of his work name, Danny Daniels. And Is it
the porn star?
It's not the porn star. It's not the porn star. He's before the porn star, but he was. For those who don't know, Danny was an ECW. He had gotten there kind of late into the ECW run, right before they were kind of going down. But so he was working, he was working crew and doing shots and stuff like that, little shots, house shows, things of that nature. And he was very well liked. That they really took to him. And he was like one of the kind of like the young boys that they were really trying to put up. So early on, they were like working out in the ring and they were kind of giving him a look. And Joey Styles was there watching him. And he goes up to Danny. He's like, "Hey, kid, you're doing pretty good. What's your name?" And he gives him his real name, Dan Kirakakis. And Joey Styles looks at him and goes, "Oh, you'll never make it with that name." He goes, "Try Danny Daniels." And he's like, "All right." And he's like, "I just went with it. That was it." And I'm like, Joey Styles gave you your name. I never knew that. Never knew that's where it came from.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty
kind
cool.
It's kind of like I think Eddie Edwards did a playoff Danny Daniels.
I wouldn't doubt it. Danny was out, before Eddie, so wouldn't doubt it, man. But I really, when he was telling us about all his ECW stuff, like when he was driving out and doing 24-hour drives to ECW and in the car alone and making shots. I'm like, man, what if he had gotten a full shake, at ECW? Because they were really gonna put him with like I forgot how he said they were gonna put him with, but he was gonna get like a full on story, I really wish
feel like
we
he
could
would have. I feel like he would have fit in well with like DeBaldi's or something.
the ball, or even like Carino, like part of Carino's like oddity like group, and he could have been like the little like
Or
he was
he
small.
What
if he
was
was in the Baldies, if he was in the Baldies in ECW, he might have been able to parlay that into being in the Carnage crew in ROH.
I'm completely blanking out, but what was the name of Storm's and Jerry Lynn's tag team?
No, it wasn't Storm and Jerry Lynn. It was Storm Incredible, and they were the
Storm
Impact
Incredible,
players.
that's what
The
it
Impact
was.
players, yeah.
Impact players. Can you Danny could have been like the heavy hitter for them.
Yeah, because
Like a little stocky dude.
they were feuding him. They were feuding him with Jerry Lynn. That was the idea, right? Like they were because he was trying. He was on pay per view, where the one where Jerry won the ECW title, and he was the heel referee who almost screwed Jerry out of it and got New Jacked to the head for his trouble. But so they were going to feud him with Jerry at some point, I think. So he was like set for a cool little run, man. It sucks it didn't work out, but yeah, he's wrestled in the arena. He said that was an amazing experience. He got to do it, and for a guy like him, that's awesome.
Checks bouncing higher than an NBA basketball, I swear.
We can start a rumor that that he used ECW checks that did cash to start AAW or to buy AAW. Let's just start that rumor. You know how wrestling rumors are, guys. They spread like wildfire. It's on the podcast. It's fact.
Guys.
All right, let's jump into this review here. We have a lot of matches. Nate's driving back from Dayton. Basil's about to keel over. I mean, let's get into this, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Lucha City Limits 2019 from the AFS Cinema. The building with the worst lighting I've ever seen in a wrestling building. Ever?
I'm trying to edit these pictures right now, and I'm crying every like 15 to 20 seconds.
I will say though, it came off looking better this time around. I feel like than it did the last time.
Well, because the video crew actually white balanced this time.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that Mike Pekovich was watching from home in Chicago, and he was telling me that it looked good on broadcast. So
I don't
whatever
think
they
it
did,
looked good. It looked better.
Better. I mean, it looked decent, right?
It looked better because from what I saw from like the GIFs and stuff, it didn't look great, but it looked better.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not really hard to go up from the bottom.
That's true. That's very true. So they we got in there. I like the layout of the building in terms of like it being one big square room. So all the sound kind of hits the center. If you have seating on four sides, we decorated it up. We brought the flags this time for the entrance. They got some lightings for the entranceway. We did a little. We made it look good. We did the best we could with it. But definitely the crowd was nuts. We sold out completely, double from what we did before, from what I understand, and then some. But man, what a hell of a crowd! They were packing in. We were so happy to have us there. I just got nothing but compliments on the product from people, so it was great to meet a bunch of people. But so we started off, guys, with some Fight for the Future stuff, Texas style, southeast style, and we had scheduled 3 Fight for the Future matches, but one of them didn't show up on time, and the women's match.
Whoa.
So we'll get to that in a second. So first one, the Regal twins, Logan and Sterling Regal, defeated Latrell Upton and Matt Kenway. I had heard things about the Regal twins before this. I wasn't blown away by the Regal twins, but the twin gimmick is always great. It's rare in wrestling. Maybe they were nervous, but what did you guys think of this one?
This was just a warm-up, nothing crazy match. It was a very fast one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we'll talk about it later, but it wasn't an amazing match. I think overall these these Fight for the Future matches weren't as good as the first one that we had at Final Stand.
Okay. Nate, were you reffing any of the Fight for the Futures?
Yes, I refed this one.
Okay. What did you think? You had
actually,
a up close seat here.
yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. It only went like a minute and a half, but I felt like it was an explosive minute and a half, and I had never seen live or even on the internet or whatever. I hadn't seen any of these four guys before, so it was very fun and exciting for me.
Okay, cool. Little small tidbit about Latrell Upton. He was not mentioned in our preview sheet for being a Fight for the Future guy, and I did a pre-match with him just because me and Rob were getting all the Fight for the Future kids on there, and I mean he was the one who didn't like have anything going into it, and I come to find out like he cut one of the better promos, and he was trained by Taka Michinoku, and I was like, what the fuck, like dude, like nobody knew about this guy, and he like spent time in the Michinoku Pro dojo. And he was trained by Taka. I'm like, that's crazy. I had no idea because he was the only one not mentioned to me previously.
Dude,
I wish I would have known about that. I would talk to him endlessly about Taka's hair.
Yeah. So yeah, listen, man. Next time we see this guy, if we ever do, definitely connect with him. He was a super cool guy too.
Trent, I know you don't keep up too much with New Japan, but Taka in New Japan is Zack Sabre Jr.'s hype man.
Oh, really?
Kind of like how
He's
Gato was
the best.
for kind of like how Gato was for Okada all those years, and now how he is for Switchblade. But oh my God, Taka has has just new life into his career in this role.
Taka is also apparently not afraid of flying anymore and has talked about wanting to open up his schedule to take U.S. dates. So we need to tug on Danny's shirt sleeve about this.
We can confirm
cool.
on those. He actually has messaged multiple U.S. promoters.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was scared of flying.
Yeah, he started messaging promoters a few months back.
Interesting. All right. So the next one, guys, we had a 6-way. It was Cody Lane, Danny Adams, Ethan Price, Justin Taylor,
Jason.
Michael.
I think
Jason?
it's Jason. I think it's Jason.
Jason Taylor, okay. Michael Wolf and Zachary Taylor. So there was 2 Taylors in this one. Cody Lane takes the win on this one. Nate, were you refereeing this one as well?
I was not.
No, okay. So this one was cool. This was a showcase. I thought I did pre-matches with all these guys for the Fight for the Future special. That's going to be on our YouTube channel at AAW Pro. And it was they were all cool. I like that they all were trying really hard. They're all young. They're all very, very new, but they all had something. I like that when we gave them a camera, they took advantage of it. So they were cool. But Cody Lane took it. He was really good, man. I thought there was some good talent in this match here. There were like, these are all young guys, like hungry for it. So I enjoyed this one. I really liked seeing all these dudes kind of go at it. Nate, what did you think?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the whole thing from start to finish. I saw the very beginning, and then I would kind of poke my head in and out. And then I don't remember if I saw the finish, but I made sure I saw like at least one offensive move from each guy. And it seemed to me like it was really well paced and really, it had spots in it that made everybody shine. This is the Backstage Boys podcast, so I will open the curtain just a little bit. I watched them putting it together too. And I would like to say that it was Danny Adams who took the lead on it, but it looked like they all like had their own. It looked like they were all invested in it, and they all like took it seriously. And I could see, all of them come up with certain ideas and everything. So it was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that they all just took advantage of that moment. Basil, what did you think? Did you get photos of this one? Were you ringside?
Yeah, I got photos of these 2 matches. There was only one match that I missed, and that was the match that was supposed to be the third Fight for the Future match. That was the only thing I missed all night because you saw the amount of running back and forth I was doing.
Oh yeah, that was nuts.
So I mean, if this was the only match I had to sacrifice, I was okay with it. But I enjoyed it. It was a fun match. I'm glad Danny Adams got some time to shine. I think we need to use him more in Chicago since he's a St. Louis guy. And his gimmick, his tag gimmick with the No New Friends is fantastic, in my opinion. And it's something that can add to our tag team division that's already stacked. But I mean,
there's
more
more than
tag.
there's more than just two guys in that group, right? It's him and Kevin Lee Davidson and Mike Outlaw, right?
Yeah, but the thing with Kevin right now, he's out injured. He ripped his bicep. So he just had surgery. So right now it's just gonna be Danny and Outlaw for probably till the end of the year at least.
Okay. So we were supposed to have a third match here, and it was supposed to be Hyen and Roxy, but Roxy did not make it to the building on time. So this is what goes on, guys. Sometimes you have things you got to adjust for, and we had to make a game time decision because we were going live at 8:15, no question about it. We were broadcasting on Highspots. We cannot wait for Roxy to show up and risk.
So this is like, sorry, this is just like the weird, so I am a referee, right? I could just show up and be, quote unquote talent. But me personally, that's not what I do. And so I don't know if anybody else knew that Roxy wasn't, or I know like later Danny said that he was in contact with her on the phone or something like that. But Hyen, like I overheard her talking to some of the boys about how Roxy hadn't shown up yet. But Trent, I don't think you knew, and I don't think Brian knew, and I don't think like all of the important people running the show knew that she wasn't there, because it was like 10 minutes before showtime, and I finally told you guys, and then that's when we all decided to like actually do something about it.
Yes, I was looking for to do, because I was doing pre-tapes with Rob for all the Fight for the Future guys, and I did Hyen, and I was like, "Where's Roxy?" And then somebody's like, "Oh, I think she's out, there, out." Like nobody gave me a straight answer, so I just assumed she was like bopping around. And then you told me she's not here, so I'm like, okay. Then I told Danny, he's like, "Yeah, she called, she's on her way." And so this is what happens, right? So what do? We have to go live at 8:15, and we don't have enough time for her to, and she's not to get there to have a match and then us be ready to go live. And it's tough. Like Hyen was freaking out. This was her moment. Like this was a chance for her to be on AAW. And I saw that nervousness in her. She kept asking me, she's like, "What if she doesn't show? What do I do?" And I was like, "Don't worry, we'll figure it out." But she asked me several times, like, "What am I supposed to do if she doesn't show?" And I'm like, "We'll work something out." I was thinking like, it's Danny's final call, but my thought was like, let's say Roxy never made it. Maybe I wouldn't want to waste Hyen, right? Like she's there, she's geared up. Like maybe we send her out with somebody or have her run in on something. It's just like all these thoughts go through your head. But go ahead, Nate. I didn't mean to cut you off. Like, it was like we had to make a game time decision, and it was it was tricky. So what was decided was, now Nate, did you carry this message to me? I think you did, about what we ended up doing with this match, or was that me? I can't recall who decided this.
I actually can't remember either.
I think Danny told, I think I told Danny, "Look, she's not here. We can't get a pre-tape. We don't know what to do." And he's like, "All right." And this is how great Danny is at it. He's like, move her up to the main card, like third. That gives her enough time. He goes, move her to the main card. And then, but the match before hers, which was Barrett Brown and Fuego del Sol, he goes, announce that as a Fight for the Future too. And mention that's Fight for the Future, just so we can kind of put that mindset back in. So it's kind of wonky because we kicked it off with Paco and Jay Serious, which was a regular singles match. But then we had to go into like more Fight for the Future. So it ended up looking like a showcase into the show. But just to kind of rewind for a second, Paco and Jay Serious started off the show. Guys, I really like Jay Serious. I don't know about you guys. I've never heard of him before. But Basil, have you heard of J Series?
I have not heard of J Series before, but he was entertaining.
He
And
was.
do you know what his gimmick kind of reminds me of? Of Rory Gulak's amazing gimmick, but
Okay.
with the "Are you serious?" gimmick, and it's a little bit more um more comedy than trying to make a statement.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought he connected really well with the crowd. The crowd was happy to see him. He did very well against Paco. It was actually really nice to see Paco wrestle someone who's about the same size as him.
And kind of on the same like underdog over level as him, right? Like he
Yeah,
was their version of that, which
yeah,
I
and
thought it was interesting.
it was just great to see a match like that for Paco because I'm so used to seeing Paco in these only the underdog stories, and it was good to kind of see him as not the underdog.
Yeah. Nate, have you heard of J Series before? Are you familiar with them at all?
No, just only from him having worked the other AAW Texas show.
Okay. So I asked him, I was talking to him, and he's like, I've been doing this since 2005. Haven't really been out of here much. And I'm just like, man, this guy's interesting. Something about him I really liked. And I talked to Danny afterwards. And he's like, I love him. He's great. I'm like, we got to find a way to get this guy up by us, like we got to bring him up to Chicago or something. So we'll see what happens. Uh, but yeah, so then we went to another singles match, which was announced to fight for the future. Barrett Brown, Fuego del Sol. Fuego, super over. Super, super over. People love the whole dancing thing. It was a heavily Mexican crowd, or Hispanic crowd, I should say. Don't want to just assume, but it was Texas. But Fuego del Sol was really over with the Hispanic audience, man. I think they just really dug the Latin dancing he does and all that stuff. I don't know Barrett Brown much though. Nate, what do you think? Did you? I know Fuego, but have you heard of Fuego and Barrett Brown before? What are your thoughts?
So again, these two guys were also on the last AAW Austin show. Barrett Brown, I had also done a show with. He was on Evolve 115 in Michigan when I worked a seminar there, and he works. I don't know if he works full time for Evolve or if he just randomly does shots for them, but he's worked for them a lot over the past couple of months now. And I dig him. I think he's really, really good.
Yeah, he is pretty good, man. What about Barrett Brown? Any thoughts on Barrett Brown?
That's what I mean. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Fuego. Okay, cool. Basil, what about you? Any previous history at least? Any thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, I've seen Fuego del Sol before. He good, interesting high flyer. I mean, connected really well with the crowd. Barrett Brown, this is the first time I've um seen him in this gimmick that he has. So it was good to see a little bit more personality out of him.
Yep. We moved on from that to this is where Roxy, she was there, she made it, and we went Hyen and Roxy. Quick match. Nate, actually, let me know which ones you ref for as I'm going through them. Just kind of let me know. Were you in this one or any of the other
I
two?
was not. No.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I kind of was like, Nate knows where I'm gonna go with this whole roughing thing right now.
Sure do.
Yep.
Go for it.
Um,
Spill this Backstage Boys. Go
just,
for it.
I'm just gonna say it. I
Well,
am
well, let me start out by saying, so I was the only current regular AAW referee that went down. Like our normal crew, me, Sam, and Brian. Sam and Brian didn't come down. Jason Pemberton, who we've used in the past before, mostly at LaSalle shows, was in Texas for work and like just happened to have this date open. So he told Danny that he was going to be there. And then I told Danny I was coming down. And so Danny decided that he needed a third Texas referee. The last Austin show was entirely Texas referees. And so, yeah, right. And so, yeah, it was.
all I'm gonna say is I'm so thankful for Chicago for Midwest refs, I'll say, not just Chicago. I am very thankful for Midwest refs.
So me being the current regular AAW referee that came down, I went up to Danny and I was like, "Hey, Danny, do you have anybody doing the ref assignments? If not, I would like to do them." And so he said, "Sure, go ahead." And then this is when Basil comes up to me, and you can take it from here.
And then I go, "Hey, these are the important matches that I want to photograph and not have an ass in my face. So please referee these matches." Because the last time I was in Texas, me and Watson legit wanted to punch people because these refs have no ring awareness. Like, it's insane how bad it was. And I don't like trashing or whatever, but my God, it's like, even in the one where there's just the one ref, like, there's so many bad shots that happen. They would just, like, Nate, when a move happened, Nate stands still and just waits for the move to finish. These guys just walk around, like, while a move is happening. And I'm just like, I would just miss shots. Like, there was a really sick moonsault that I could have gotten, but I had a ref walk right in the shot. Yeah. Where with Nate, I get really dope shots of him reacting, and he's in multiple shots.
Right.
And same with Jason. Jason was a great ref, and he was being aware, and he was asking me how he was doing in between the matches and stuff like that. I appreciate that. So.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, I was like,
Nate,
I need you on this match, and this match, please.
So,
and I was happy to oblige.
Yeah, I didn't pick any bad matches for him. I'll just say that.
So Nate, what was the first one you ended up doing? So High End defeated Roxy. So that was, let me just put that result out there.
Yeah.
What was where did you end up getting into as far as
I did the very next one.
All right, so the next one was a big one. Sami Callihan and Kurt Stallion. I think there was another match being sent down. I forgot who it was. But Sami.
It was Mark Champion and Joe DeMarco.
Look at this guy,
man,
with his little notebook of all the wrestlers that have been on the shows with him and shit.
Amazing. I'm glad you're on, Nate.
Amazing. Amazing.
Can we change your nickname to Amazing Nate Speckman?
Sure, go ahead.
Amazing
Nate
Speckman.
No, the Amazing Nate Speckman.
The Amazing Nate. You should walk out of the cave.
Amazing Nate.
So this is what's funny, and this will tie into the thing that I always say whenever the three of us or more ever get together and talk, which is that we need to have pre-show meetings, which I guess, spoiler alert, we don't have pre-show meetings, but
it's a fucking shit show.
So their names were on the list, these two guys, Mark and Joe, and then their names were right above Sami Callihan versus Kurt Stallion, and it's got one number next to it, which mean, like number 1, 2, 3, 4, match number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the fuck. And so I know it's not a separate match, and I'm like, so I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? And no, it's not explained to me specifically what's happening. And then eventually later, shortly before the show starts, it's like, oh, these two dudes are just going to get beat up by Sami, and then we're going to roll right into the Sami versus Kurt match. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's like, how are they coming out? Do they get music? Like, and so I talked to one of the guys, and he's like, I was told it's like we are wrestling a singles match. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then Brian talks to me, and he's production Brian, and he's like, oh, these two dudes are supposed to be in a tag. So then we go back, and the two dudes are, I don't know who told one of the guys that it was going to be a singles, but he was of the mind that he would come out first, and then the other guy would come out and get attacked by Sami in the aisleway. So that's what we told Sami, and that's what was worked out. And then later, production comes up to us and says, no, these two guys are a tag team. They get one entrance. And then Sammy's like, oh, cool, I'll jump both of you guys. And like, he didn't give a shit. But
and so the best part about that, really quick, how we're talking about the match numbers. So a lot of times during the shows, while refs are in the locker room, they'll ask me which match number we're on. So I didn't consider that little thing before the Sammy Stallion match a match. So I'm like, yeah, we're on match 5 or whatever it was. I think it was. And then it threw it off. And Jimmy Jake was like, no, we're on this number match. And like, no, that's not a real match. Like, this is an actual match number. And it was just so confusing.
But yeah, so I ended up being like running around trying to figure out what are we doing? What does this spot look like? And then communicating it to everybody to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Amazing. This is what goes on backstage, folks. This is what happens.
But hey, also, right around that same time, I had to find the dog collar because nobody knew where the dog collar was. And then once I finally found the dog collar, or I found the chain rather, I couldn't find the collars. Then I later found the collars, but there was no way to affix the collars to the chain. So then I was running around trying to figure out where I could get another carabiner from, and it was chaos.
That goddamn dog collar and the chain and the carabiner. What a freaking ordeal! Because I was like, I was told like, yeah, it's over there. Then we find the collar, then we can't find the chain. Then we find the chain, and we can't find the collar, then we can't find the hooks. And I'm like, what in that? Jimmy's getting all upset. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this shit? But we'll get to the dog collar in a minute. But great. So the Sammy and Kurt thing started off hot, super hot. Nate, you're in this. Crowd was nuts. I'm sure you heard all of that. What did you think? I'm going to start with you on this one. Feeling from in the ring, thoughts? Did we lose Nate?
Nate.
We lost him.
Okay. We might have lost him, but hold on. But here, I'll fill in for him. He might actually be in a bathroom break right now. No, but for real, this match was fantastic. It was Kurt almost had the same homecoming feeling that ACH had last show.
Mm-hmm.
It started hot right off in the aisleway, so that was fantastic. And then they were just beating the holy crap out of each other. And I just shared a picture with you guys about Kurt getting choked out by a chair, which happened a couple times in the show. Those chairs were being used to choke out some people.
Yeah,
in the show.
Unlike Logan Square, we didn't get charged for chairs at this place. Oh no, maybe we did. We did.
No, we did.
We did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we got charged a good amount per chair.
Yeah,
that sucks. I'll just say any overage that we had went to chairs.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it worked out fantastic. I'm so glad that we made extra money so we can pay for chairs.
Okay. Yeah. No, it definitely did. Definitely did.
I'm gonna try to get Nate back on. So
all right, I'll keep talking.
No, I'll talk with you too while I'm trying to get Nate back on. He paused it, but I'm gonna see if I can kick him off.
He paused. I wonder why. Maybe he got pulled over by a cop.
He got pulled over by a cop.
Holy shit!
What were you doing, sir? I was podcasting.
Talking about wrestling.
Talk about wrestling. Oh, okay, sir. You're free to go.
Holy shit! What if he got pulled over, man? He's in
I'd feel guilty as hell.
I feel so bad.
Jesus
oh man,
Christ. I'm calling him right now, and it's not going through. Fuck.
Are you serious? Oh, dude, we got Nate pulled over.
Oh god.
Damn it! What do we do?
It's.
This is the match he's in too. Shit.
We can't explain anything.
No, God.
I can.
Well, let me say this. Yeah, you were there too. Well, well, real quick, Rob and I did Rob's working on a documentary of Kurt Stallion for one of his film projects. He's calling it
State of Mind.
Lone Star State of Mind, and we did that prior to the show. Kurt was awesome. Can't wait to see that finished product. So, like you said, this was Kurt's homecoming. He's in his home state, man, and it was kind of cool. Like he got a huge pop. But this match was nuts. This was some violent shit. You want to tell us how you felt being right up close with that, Basil?
It was a fantastic match. And really quick, speaking of the up close, so this was a little bit different of a venue, and I used a different lens than I normally do. I went a little bit wider, uh, and it made for some great shots. Made for some different perspectives and stuff like that.
Interesting. What
Oh, it just threw him off the call. He just texted me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to add him one more time, but no, he is not. I think he was just driving through a really shitty part and then probably just lost reception.
All right,
because it's Indiana.
Nate's safe. Nate is not pulled over and he's safe. Everybody tweet him your relief. At I think it was referee Nate Speckman.
Referee Nate. Remember that steadfast Lee thing that gimmick that he tried to have for a minute?
Steadfast Lee Stevens. That's how he started off as that.
Then the best part is when he had that gimmick, and then David Starr's like, "What are you doing, Nate? What's going on, Nate?" I was like, breaking the kayfabe.
He was it was a cool little name. It was very old school for a referee to have a nickname and all that. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I like Nate Speckman though. But really quick, we need to get through this. So the match was really violent, really well done, and I enjoyed the match. I want to see this again, but I understand. I understand the whole purpose is. I mean, now I hope that we get Sammy versus something next, or Sammy versus Eddie Kingston.
Well, it seems like, the natural progression, right? We're going to go down the line. I don't think it'll be Kingston. I'm guessing something first.
It's something first, but when was I don't think Sammy's wrestled Kingston since he beat Kingston for the title.
A while ago.
Hey, Nate's back.
Hey, is he back?
He's back.
Nate, you're live.
Nate's on the call.
I got you.
Yay! He's back. All right, Nate, real quick.
We legit thought you got pulled over or died.
Yeah.
It was one of the two.
We were like, oh, man, we got him pulled over. Screwed. Nate, we just finished talking about Stallion and Sammy, but give us your referee's perspective on this one.
Yeah, this match was an insane amount of fun.
Do tell.
Yeah, so trying to think about what I can and cannot say. Yeah, it was unpredictable. I will say that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just fun because, some people will tell you move for move exactly what's happening. Some people might give you a finish, and then some people might say, just stay close to me. And it's really fun in those cases to, just sort of spend the entire time on your toes.
It's kind of fun, right? It keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
It keeps it very exciting. Yeah, we don't have to give it much away. We don't have to talk about the actual ins and outs too much, but that's exciting. That keeps you guessing as a referee, but it was a longer match than I expected, but man, it was pretty damn good. The crowd went nuts. That was a loud crowd for this match.
Yeah, and I think it was the perfect moment for it. Like, Sammy's one of the marquee stars, and one of the people, like one of the guys that I'm sure a lot of people came out to see, and maybe they expected him to be in the main event, and it was an unexpected way for him to come out, and like you mentioned before, they were hot all night, and they were hot at the very beginning, but they got hotter, and I think this is the perfect time to do it.
Nice.
Like
yeah, very
perfect
cool.
point in the show.
Very cool, man. I thought they were going to be second from the top, but I guess they weren't, man. This was kind of that middle of the show, got everybody nuts match. So still cool though. Still very cool. Kurt goes down in his hometown. That's the That's the honors, doing the honors in your hometown. Classic Stallion way. I'm sure he even insisted on doing something like that, even though obviously it was non-title, but Kurt went down. So good match, fun. Tag team one after that, guys. The Regal Twins came out and said, we didn't just come here for a couple-minute match. We want a challenge, and they demanded opponents, and they got the besties. Davey Vega and Matt Fitchett, one of the most popular tag teams on the scene. Basil, I'm going to start with you on this one. What did you think about this?
This was a much better representation of what the Regal Twins were capable of. I mean, obviously the besties are pretty much always on their game. Very entertaining. I liked how they were doing their besties intro and the Regal Twins attacked them. I actually didn't like that because I liked the besties intro. But this was a fantastic match, very high-paced, back and forth match. Nobody really dominated the entire time, which I enjoy, especially when it comes to tag matches, because I always feel like they can slow down a little bit too much when one team dominates. I do like the hot tag, but for something like this, it was a very good back and forth, fast-paced match when we just had a pretty slow and methodical like street fight style match that we had with Sammy and Kurt. I know we don't have the no rules, no countouts thing, but every match has their own theme still. So
nice. Nate, what did you think about this one? I know you're a big besties guy. What did you think about them going against the Regal Twins?
I am a big besties guy. I actually did not watch a whole lot of this match. This might have been the point where I was really messing around with the dog collar thing for Jimmy, trying to figure out where it was and how to put it together.
Okay. I thought the Regals were still a little nervous in this one. I think they were a little hesitant. It was their biggest stage, obviously, and they seemed a little nervous, a little hesitant. I think even you could tell at certain points that the besties were trying to work around that. There's certain things you can catch, and you can just kind of see when one has to lead because the other is a little hesitant to do it. So it was I noticed that it was obviously a big moment for them. They're young. It was something and they're going against the besties, which is great. But I think they'll see another day where if these guys can have another match at some point, I think it'll be a lot better even. It was longer, but I just still think they were a little hesitant on what they could fully do. And that's what even Danny felt. That Danny was like, I think they look a little nervous. I think they just didn't know they didn't know how to pace themselves. So besties did what they could with it. And then they ended up going on top and winning. All right, next one, guys. Ryan Davidson and Ricky Starks. Standard single match. I know Danny loves Ryan Davidson. He was big on Ryan Davidson here. Caught my eye as well. Guy was aggressive, had a good look. What did you guys think about this? I don't know. Either one of these guys had no history on them. Definitely. Basil, I'm going to start with you.
No, we've had Ricky at our shows.
At Chicago?
Yeah, he was at Bourbon Street.
I must have missed. Yeah, that's right. Somebody told me that too. I think Brian might have told me that, but I must have missed him when he was. I probably didn't notice the match. I was doing something else, so I really haven't seen Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I like Ricky personally, and then he was also on the last Austin show.
Okay.
And the tag with Aaron against the besties. So I wish that we got more of Ricky. I like Ricky. I didn't want to see him lose.
Okay. Cool. He's got a good look. The guy's a good looking guy. Definitely like, that TV kind of look to him. So he's very polished looking. I can definitely see him ending up on somebody's program at some point. Nate, what about you? Any background? Do you know Ricky Starks and Ryan Davidson? Any thoughts on these guys, on the match?
I'm not very familiar with either one of them. I know, like Basil said, I had seen him on, I didn't go to the last Austin show, but I watched it, and he was there. And then I was at the Bourbon Street show that he was on with Aaron. I think they wrestled Jake and Kurt, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think like everything you guys just said. Great look, great charisma, just incredibly skilled. And I don't know why he's not on a more national platform. Ryan Davidson too, great look, awesome dude. You know, I know he's like a big monster heel, so I don't know if I'm hurting his image by saying this. Super nice guy. I think all of the, you know, Fight for the Future guys and the, you know, your Barrett Browns and your Fuego del Sols that were on the last show with us. I think it was a really nice locker room. Just really nice guys, super helpful. You know, you ask anybody just to, you know, jump up and help with something, they were all on it. You know, some of those guys were picking up Pentagon and Fenix at the airport, things like that. Just a real good group of dudes and ladies.
Yeah, it was a very full locker room too. That was a lot of bodies in that locker room. That's for sure. Being a nice locker room. No, that's cool, man. That was cool. These guys, I definitely see future in these guys. They can both walk on to any show right now, is what I thought. Good look. It was a nice long match. Gave him some story time, which was cool. I think Ricky is from down there, I believe, right? He's a local Texas guy.
Yeah, Ricky's from Texas.
Yeah, so he had a good...
He wrestled on Wrestle Circus a lot. He was one of their last tag champions, I believe.
Okay. And no, definitely. I definitely was impressed with his look. He seemed really angry after the show. I'm not sure what was going on with him. He was a little
there was a whole thing with whatchamacallit, with the Fenix incident and all that stuff. So that we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. All right, after that, guys, this was a huge match. This was LAX, Ortiz and Santana taking on the Rascals, Dez and Zach. Went to a draw. Remind me, guys, was intermission before or after this?
Intermission was after the Besties match, or after the Ryan Ricky match.
It was after that one, not after after the actual tag match.
It was this match led into intermission.
Yeah, because then we had format. Because remember, we kept the gates open, and then we had the LAX entrance.
I had the LAX entrance. Well, no, I had the LA. So we did the LAX entrance through the garage door, and which I got to pull up. All right, funny story, real quick. Side note, guys, the match before, I prepared, like, I moved the curtains out of the way of that garage door, and I wanted to really make it an LAX entrance with the music and everything. And I pulled the curtains up and I clipped them. And Mike Petrovich, who's co-owner of AAW, is watching at home, and he texts me. He's like, "Why the fuck are those curtains up?" He goes, "You know how bad that looks? I can see that garage." And I was like, "LAX entrance, relax. It's gonna be okay. I'll put them down as soon as it's done." And then he goes, "Oh man, it looks terrible." And I'm like, "Just like another few minutes." And he goes, "You know how bad this looks?" I'm like, "How bad?" He goes, I'm watching you reply to this text right now. That's how bad this looks.
It's all good, dude. But dude, we needed to open that gate during intermission, because the amount of intermission happened
after the tag match.
Yeah, that's what Nate's saying. It happened after this match.
After this match.
Right.
Because I remember opening up the gates again. So it was after this match. Okay, my bad.
All right. So
we needed it because the amount of air, the amount of sweaty air that got left that escaped this room so fast. It was like Usain Bolt trying to run. I swear to God.
Yeah, it was rough, but this was so I was bummed that LAX, for some odd reason. I mean, we set up the LAX type entrance, and they came out to Prince, and I was like, wait, what? They did not come out to the LAX music, and I was like, why? I mean, I don't know. They were going for a very lighthearted thing, not the real gangster thing. So I'm like, well, why do we even bother with the entrance? But I was a little bummed at that. But because I mean, the whole thing with them is, like, we did it in LaSalle. We had them come out through a different entrance, got over huge in LaSalle. They insisted on coming down the aisle at Logan Square. I was originally set to have him come out a different entrance there. They wanted the aisle. We did it. Again, I think people really were kind of like, oh, whatever. It was okay. People want that extra entrance. So we did the garage door in Texas, and people freaking went nuts. It was great. That's what hooks people on these guys. But the music needs to be there. And I think I was a little bummed that we just didn't have that LAX music.
Well, like the thing is, everybody's okay. So I saw some tweets about people being confused by the entrances. The original, the hard drive with all the entrances crashed. So we had to improvise with a bunch of random stuff with like a bunch of actual music that we can just get off the internet real quick. And the problem is we didn't use our normal guys, so they didn't know about the Spotify account. And I didn't know about it really because I wasn't paying attention to the music too much. Because like MJF came out to All Me from Drake, which is Isaiah's theme song.
Geez.
But I mean, we just had to make do, because we couldn't re-download people's theme songs and stuff like that again. So, and a lot of the theme songs are cut, so to make them work, they're not just like the full songs that we play.
All right. Well, fair enough. It was but heated match. I mean, Nate, were you reffing this one?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it. I want to hear your take. This was hot, and then this match actually bled into intermission in terms of like what came out of it. So give us your thoughts. What happened? How intense was it? Let it spill.
So, Danny told me what he wanted for this match, where he said he wanted a time limit draw, and we didn't have the headsets this time. So he was like, does anybody have a watch? Or
guess who was the timekeeper?
Yeah, so we don't have to pull the curtain back 100% on this. Basil was a big help, is all I'll say.
I was the timekeeper. I don't give a fuck.
Cool, yeah. So I came up to Danny during like before the show started, and because he was like, "What are we gonna do? We don't have the headsets. We don't have a watch. Like we can't. How can we make sure that you keep the time?" And I was like, "Why don't we do this? Why don't pick whatever 10, 5, and 3 or whatever the fuck, and have Basil, who is already ringside, come up and squeeze my foot." And he was like, just don't make it obvious. And then, I will say Basil eventually didn't give me only 3 counts and gave me a whole bunch of other counts and was like screaming at the top of his lungs. And I feel like everybody in the first 3 rows could hear what was going on. But
because the problem was I couldn't get to you in time because I mean it was a really random match. And I couldn't get to like squeezing you at the right times.
Yeah.
And so what I just did is I just kind of tried to help a little bit. It was not an ideal situation.
No, it wasn't.
And the problem is when we had wrestlers on opposite sides of the ring, it made it for some interesting parts. So I was trying to give the guys some cues as well because you couldn't get to them, or if I was on the opposite side and then I had to run to you.
Well, and I asked the guys too, I was like, what do you want? And they were like, and I did talk mostly with Zach. So that might be where the disconnect is, but he told me he wanted 10, 5, and 3. And then Ortiz like all throughout the match, it was like, hey, where are we at for time? Where are we at for time?
And that's like, so I heard that.
I'm only giving you guys the 3, like, I'm only supposed to give you guys 10, 5, and 3. So calm down.
Well, I heard that part, and that's why I had to. That's when I heard him say that. That's when I kind of was like, okay, I need to give him more time cues. So that's kind of where the disconnect happened.
Interesting.
Because I heard him kept asking you.
It was controlled chaos.
But we made it work, and then so to give the proper time cue, the photographer, instead of getting the last moments of the match, had to run to to the had to run to the bell ringer, which it doesn't make sense in the age of 2019 where there's multiple computers and multiple cell phones that person couldn't have had a stopwatch on them when the bell started.
I will say I trust you more than I trust anybody
else. No, I get that, but I waited. I don't know what was so hard, in my opinion, just to start the bell when the bell rang, or to start the timer when the bell rang.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, I should have had Brian do it, and then I maybe should have just looked over in his general direction every now and then and have him hold up some fingers, or do the old school
that would have been a good idea.
Do the old school WWF thing where he puts a pencil in his mouth when he wants me to take it home.
That's right, the pencil. But no, none of that happened. But it was a draw. It went to a draw. Nate, this sounds like it was fun and chaotic all at the same time for you, though.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, cool. Yeah, this went to a draw. We went into intermission, and the guys went to their tables a few minutes after, and there was a huge brawl between these guys at intermission that was so freaking intense. It was so intense that the security guards at the building freaked out and thought it was all a shoot, and they started like getting really upset. They were going to call the police. They're like, no, they're throwing real punches. They're freaking out on Danny. I thought it was hilarious that we sold them on this. But
what do you mean, Trent? It was a real brawl.
Let's edit what I just said out then, if that's the case. Anyway, but no, it was cool because the fans were all in on that, man. They were hooked because everybody's like, holy shit, that's real. Because Danny's so good at this. Like he's like, just start it. Just like do it casually, blend it into intermission. And people were like, what the fuck? I was watching the Twitter and like people were like, oh my God, I think they truly got into a fight. Like people legit were like thinking it was for real. And it's just so cool. So I love that stuff. It's great. These guys, you know, they obviously work in Impact together, and they get to have some chemistry, you know, in front of the camera and other places. They have good synergy, so it just looks so natural, which I liked. Definitely fun, man. Coming out of intermission, we Nate, I think you were refereeing this one, MJF and Andy Dalton. I believe you're in the ring on this one.
No, I am not.
You're not? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you were in on this one. All right, but this was fun. There was a lot of freaking toilet paper. Texas brought the toilet paper. Basil, please tell me you got great toilet paper shots of MJF.
I have many toilet paper shots. And I have many of them hitting Max straight in the face. And I've never taken so many pictures for an entrance before, but anytime that MJF can look like the trash that he is, I'm down. I love my little brother.
He is your little brother. He is definitely the little brother. What a great, what fun. Andy Dalton is dirty. He's dirty Andy Dalton. Lives up to that name. He's a dirty son of a bitch. I like the guy, though. I don't know what it is. I like that he wears dress pants to the arena. You guys notice that? He wears dress pants, and he looks like he just got out of the office. Or like, you know, like he's a dirty guy, but he dresses up for the office, and then he goes to wrestle at night.
He came back from Vegas. He came back from Vegas, man. He had the AEW press conference. He was doing some photos the day before with Speedy, and I made him do more photos, and Speedy was like, what the fuck? How'd you get him to do more photos? And
Basil, Trent's talking about Andy.
I'm talking about
Andy Dalton. I thought you were talking about Max. I thought you were trying to ruin. I'm like, Max gimmick he tries to look presentable.
Oh yeah, Max is always presentable. I'm talking Andy Dalton. I don't know. I thought he's not as dirty as you think.
You know what? I mean, you know what? When you're trying to make an impression, sometimes you got to go above and beyond, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely. Because I remember that. You know, I remember that dude. You know, he looked presentable coming to the building. So I like Andy Dalton. We had him in LaSalle once. He's fun. Something about him I really like.
I really like him. I really like him too. He was trying to figure out which gear to put on for the show, and he was asking me my opinion. He was like, "What about this one? And what about this one?" and then there's one that has like a big white splotch on it that says dirty inside of it. And he's like, I like this one because everybody thinks it's cum. And then he was telling me, he was like, somebody was talking to him about how spit isn't white, and Andy, like, talking to me, acts this out like he was talking to that person. He spits in his own hand and then shows it to me, and he's like, look, it's white. And then he slurps it back up.
Oh, this is backstage? This is
backstage before the show starts.
God, he really is dirty.
Yep. He's filthy.
Filthy son of a bitch. Andy Dalton. What a guy.
I love him. Super nice guy.
Super nice guy. Really cool. I enjoyed talking to him after the show. I really dug this dude, man. He's a great guy. So MJF took the win on this one. It was cool. It was good for Andy to be featured against MJF, who's got a lot of buzz. Having your name next to a guy who's getting a lot of buzz right now is never a bad thing. So that's good for Andy Dalton. I think it was a good performance for him too. It was. I think it was too. I think the guy, he came to play, man. He definitely came to play. I like that he took it again. Another guy who saw the opportunity. Full House, AAW, big name talent. Take advantage of your opportunity. He totally did that. And that's a guy who's gonna get called back. That's a guy who's gonna get seen. I mean, I saw Sammy talking to him. I saw other people talking to him. People took notice of him, man. So that's awesome for Andy Dalton. I really hope to see him rise for sure. But no, that was cool. So all right, now we're at the dog collar match. I didn't get to see any of this. I was doing some wacky shit backstage. I had to take care of a bunch of stuff. So I really didn't get to see this match. Jimmy Jacobs and Jess Havoc in the dog collar match. This is a blow off to their long feud. Nate, again, were you reffing this one? I don't recall. I don't think you were, right? This was Pemberton?
This was Pemberton.
Yes, because I know you had the next one. So Pemberton was in this one. Yeah, so I didn't get to see it, guys. If you saw this, like, Baz, let me start with you because you were taking photos. What can you tell me about this one? How was it? I heard the crowd ooh and ah a little bit, but not a whole lot. So was it like a slower match or what?
It was a little bit more methodical. There was so much fast-paced actions happening in the previous matches that I think it was good to slow it down a little bit before we got into the main event.
Okay.
So I think it was a well-placed match.
Okay. Nate, you weren't reffing it, but did you get a chance to see this one at all or no?
I did not really know. I watched the first few minutes of it, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this was a nice, good way to end the feud. Ended it in Texas, which is nice. Like, solo match, finish it off. So good. I mean, now the thing is, where do we go with these two, right? I mean, I figured Jimmy will go back to Briggs, kind of managing Briggs. Jess, what do you guys think? She lost. And does she go back into the women's title picture? We're kind of limited on women right now. We put Jess back in there. What do we put Jess with Sammy? Where would you guys like to see Jess go? I think this is actually really important because she's a big critical part of AAW, not just the women's division, but what do we do with her at this point? Where can she go? I should say that. Nate,
give me Jess versus Kylie, please.
Jess and Kylie. Nate, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I started going to AAW shows in the fall of 2015, the women that were there were Jess, Candice LeRae, Heidi Lovelace, and Kim, and they would occasionally wrestle each other, but they would also oftentimes wrestle dudes. And I think the more we have of that, the better. And I don't think it should just be Jess that gets to do it. I think it's fun that she can wrestle dudes and then she can turn right around and challenge, Kylie for the women's championship, say. I think it'd be great for her to do that. And then, see her in a feud with maybe, she's done with Jimmy, but maybe she slides into a feud with Briggs. I don't know.
Okay. We definitely have to keep her strong, right? She's such a crucial part of the company. I think Jess has to be kept strong in some way. She's a great performer. She's very liked. So it's important that we keep her in a spot where she's not only representing the women properly, but just a member of the roster, whether it's fighting guys or in the women's division. So interesting to see what Danny comes up with for this. I'll be looking forward to it. All right, guys, this is a big one. This is going to be the thick ending here. Nate, this is your main event. You're in this one. Lucha Brothers, Penta and Fenix taking on Firefox for the tag team titles. This was talk about a crowd reaction. The Lucha Brothers are, would you guys say they're over? Basil, would you think Lucha Brothers are kind of over? I don't know, maybe.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Nate, what about you? You ever heard of these two guys?
Bunch of jobbers.
Bunch of hacks.
Local jobbers. Local jobbers.
I love the fact, and I think, Basil, you pointed this out, that at the moment this match was going on, they were on Impact at the same time fighting LAX for the World Tag Team titles.
Oh, it's funny. They were, as you said, they were fighting LAX in two different places on two different shows, and they were also on MLW at the same time.
They were. So that means on Friday night, February the 8th, they were on MLW earlier in the night, then on Impact for the tag belts, and then on AAW. Obviously, the earlier two were pre-taped, but
no,
yeah, but could you imagine? I mean, this is insane. These guys were on 3 programs on one night, and stars on all of them, right?
You mean they weren't in Philly, Mexico, and Austin, Texas all at the same time?
Teleportation. I'm gonna go with that. But yeah, teleportation. But this one, guys, the ending a little marred by an injury. I'm gonna go to Nate on this one in a second. We changed the titles. The titles changed hands. Penta and Fenix won, but prior to that finish, we had an injury with Fenix. So Nate, if you want to speak on it, you had the best view of it. I didn't know what the hell happened, but tell us what happened, what you saw, how the reaction was. Give us an insight.
So first, I just want to say how ultimately bizarre the whole thing was, at least for me personally. There was, I think it was the guy who owns the ring, just randomly came up to me, unsolicited, offered up to me that and I don't even think, maybe I was in my referee clothes at the time. I don't remember. It was before the show started. And he just came up to me and he was like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm like a medic or an EMT or whatever." And he was like, "I'm going to be sitting right over there for the whole show. If you need anything, let me know." And I was like, "Oh, great. Hopefully I won't need you." Tipped my hat and walked away. And so there's that one thing. And then, in the back going over the match with the 4 guys, generally, for a ref, all you really need is the finish, and then any sort of particular spots that directly involve you. For those kind of lucha style tag matches, it's a lot of just stay out of the way. So there was no real need for me to pay attention to a lot of what they were saying. But while I was back there, the one spot that I heard them going over specifically was the one that Fenix ended up getting injured on. So if I was into stars aligning and listening to signs and everything, I maybe would have put my foot down and said, maybe you guys should do something different. But clearly I'm just simple-minded.
But the thing is that the spot that he got injured on was a spot that he's done in pretty much any match that he's wrestled.
And it was an offensive move, which is the most bizarre thing.
Yeah, it was an offensive mood. It was just super unfortunate, and it sucked because we had to carry him out on a table as a stretcher until the medics arrived, and I was one of the people carrying him. And then, I mean, I've gotten pretty close with the Lucha Brothers and stuff like that. We joke around, we rib each other, all that stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I care for these guys and all that shit. And I was literally holding Fenix's hand. Like, there was fans trying to get in the back, and I was just like, please, not right now. Just like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm holding onto his hand, and he's just wincing in pain. And I was praying to God that it wasn't anything serious. And Trent, you would know the actual diagnosis on this one.
So it was scary, right? 'Cause, I mean, he freaked, right? 'Cause, I mean, obviously it was something close to his neck, and I'm sure your life flashes before you at that point, like your career, a neck injury could be the end, right? He freaked
And
out. I
like
saw.
they just got, I don't know what the contract status is exactly, but they're big time AEW guys now. So like, what does that mean? What does it mean for him in this moment?
Right. So from what I understand, they have some unique contract that's going to let him appear everywhere this year. So I mean, he's got a very exciting year coming up, and his whole career flashed in front of his eyes. And I saw there was a freak out after the move. He wasn't moving. Everybody kind of went quiet. He gave Penta some kind of signal, and they went for a finish. Penta finished it off. I mean, they didn't even raise the belts. I mean, like, it was like that, guys. Belts didn't even go to them. It was so chaotic. Like you mentioned, Basil, we carried him out, stretching him out to the back. So we were back there. So he did feel a pop and kind of a tear near his, like, kind of where your shoulder meets your neck, close enough that it freaks you out. And he felt that shooting fire down his arm. Immediate scare, right? He got to the back. We had him down. You were there, Basil. I asked him, I said, what are you feeling? He said that he's like, I feel a compression in my chest. Again, scary. But he was able to move his limbs and his legs and everything, which is always a great sign, but you still can't take a chance. We kept him stabilized. I had a neck brace on him. They kept him still. He was definitely crossing his legs, moving them. He says he's feeling like, I'm feeling okay, but still scared, obviously. Paramedics came. Everything happened. They went to the hospital. Danny went to the hospital to meet them. And the final diagnosis is a really bad muscle contusion. So he just needs to take a few weeks off, kind of let that heal up, and just be careful from now on. He needs to just kind of watch it a little bit. It was kind of a wake up call. I think he'll contour his style a little bit to watch his head and neck a little more, because he is the more kind of he does more of the riskier moves out of the two brothers. So we avoided a very bad disaster, but it was scary. Everybody was very, very scared. I mean, Myron felt terrible. Did you guys see Myron? I mean, he felt like it was his fault, and I mean, everybody's like, no, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything, and these things happen. But I don't know if you guys saw Myron, but he just felt so bad. I felt so bad for him.
That was like I couldn't process things fast enough. And I felt terrible myself. And then I felt bad for feeling bad. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen to him. And so I was just like, I think I was depressed for quite a bit of time. Mm-hmm. But one of the first things I did when I got to the back was find Myron and give him a big hug, kind of hold him for a little bit and just tell him that it's not his fault. And, like you said, I'm sure everybody else was doing that too. But I personally needed him to know that, because I feel like I needed somebody to tell me that too. It was weird. It was scary.
It was very scary. I mean, so initially we thought it was just a stinger, which is obviously still scary. But yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody felt bad. Fox felt bad, and it was a tough moment, man. Penta, I mean, I was so scared for his brother. He was getting all the stuff together, changing, and he was just so freaked out. But yeah, man, thank God everything's okay. It got reported like crazy, and I'm so glad that as soon as I got the diagnosis, I put the word out on our Twitter, and the news did carry quick, which is nice. It went everywhere, so everybody got to got to get the final word on it from us, straight from the hospital, which was great and I'm glad that there was accurate reporting. The most variance in reporting I saw that people just assumed it was a stinger, which we did too, but we didn't release that to anybody. But the dirt sheets roll with everything, so they said stinger, neck injury, potential neck break, that kind of thing. But I'm glad we were able to diffuse that quickly. So
And really quick, I'm not releasing pictures of the injury. I don't care.
No need.
No, like the last part of that match is not going to be released. So
yeah, no need to.
I'm gonna I'm gonna have pictures from that match, but I already deleted the injury pics, so nobody can tell me anything to do that. So suck a dick.
Yeah, no need to use that language either, Basil. Behave yourself.
Where the fuck have you been?
But it's cool. Everything's good, thankfully. I don't know what he's gonna do. He's got Impact tapings in like a few days.
Friday in Vegas.
Friday and Saturday in Vegas. I don't know. I'm sure they'll figure it out. I mean, it's tough. You have to work around it. I mean,
that's the only issue with those Impact tapings. Sometimes it's like you can't just take those tapings off because that's a month's worth of tapings. It's not just 2 weeks where they can do some promos and then go into like the tapings after that. So what's downside?
Yeah, what's really cool is that I'm glad that they don't have another they did not heat up another contender already, so we weren't like ready for another match that they have to maybe scrap now. So the good thing is like they'll be able to work around. They'll have to buy themselves a month. Maybe Penta does something. Fenix can be there. Who knows? But thankfully everything's gonna be okay. We'll be back on track very soon here. But guys, that was it, man. Side note, I'm sure next show we have to get pictures of them with these belts because we have to have some kind of record of this.
Yeah, I was planning on getting that, but that kind of didn't happen.
No, well, obviously not that night. Not that night.
Yeah,
we'll get it at some point. But yeah, man, that was Lucha City Limits, man. It was a hell of a show. I loved it. I think we're already looking to go back. No final date yet. It's going to be a lot of fun to go back there. I'm excited about it. So
yeah, it'll be a fun show. I love the Austin crowd. They were fun.
Very cool.
So they were all into it. Made for a good night, even better.
Yeah, Nate, final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to have a date as soon as possible so I can make my schedule work for it.
Working on it. Anybody from Austin, new listeners from Austin listening to this, it is being worked on. We'll finalize that very soon, and we'll let you know. I can't wait to go back to the town, guys. I loved Austin. I really enjoyed it. So looking forward to going back with you guys. It was a total blast. We got our picture in front of the Welcome to Austin sign. So yeah, man, I'm down. I'm down to go back anytime. So, but that was it, guys. That was Lucha City Limits. We will our next show coming up is The Art of War on 2/23/19. Excited for that. That's at Logan, guys. Am I right? Logan or Bourbon? I can't remember right now.
It's Logan show. Logan show on the 23rd.
Logan Square at the 23rd. Nate, you will be there as well, I assume.
Wouldn't miss it.
Perfect. All right, well, that's it, guys. Let's go through plugs. Nate, tell us where we can find you. All the social media.
I am on Twitter at Ref Nate Speckman and on Instagram, Referee Nate Speckman.
And do you have an email for bookings you want to put out?
I'm sure nobody's listening to this.
Shit.
Hey, whoa.
Wow.
Our listeners.
Wow. I'm the only one who to make jokes.
Listen, I would have to imagine the only promoter that listens to this is Steve, and he already books me, so.
You're a dick. You suck, Nate. We're here trying to put you over, man. We're trying to get you work. How do you know? How do you know that that some big guys aren't listening? How do you know that like New Japan's not listening to this? Just to know what's going on. Do you know
Red Shoes? Red Shoes, if you're listening to this, my email address is nathan.speckman@gmail.com.
I'll tell you, I'll have you know this, Speckman, that our second biggest market of listenership is the UK. Every week, our UK listeners are strong, man. So you might look. There's plenty of promotions out there. You never know,
Listen,
Nate.
I'm not saying your listenership is bad. I'm just saying I am doubtful of the amount of wrestling promoters that listen to it.
Just you wait, Speckman. Just you wait. All right, sounds good. Basil, where can we find you?
Online somewhere. I don't know.
Well, you're
No,
too humble.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at BZ. That's a B, 2 E's, 4 Z's, and a Y. And all my photos are at basilmahmood.com, BASILMAHMUD.com. Where could they find you, Trent?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Vanilla Joke, and you can find me at hemimusic.com. That's my band. Stuff about me, plenty of pictures of me and information, what I'm doing musically is on there. You can find this show at the BSB Show on Facebook and Twitter. Tweet us, add us, get a hold of us, like us, let us know what you think. Communicate with us there. Basil, is the Instagram ready yet?
Let me look at a calendar. Carry the 4. This is the 12th. Next week.
Next week it is for the Instagram. Sounds good. We are also on YouTube now, guys. Look up the Backstage Boys on YouTube. We have a channel. This episode will be up there as well. And you can find this podcast wherever podcasts are found: Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify. Rate, review, subscribe, follow us. Definitely give us your feedback. We love feedback. Want to hear about it. Thanks for all the interactions, guys. You've been great. Our YouTube listenership, which we're new to, has gone up really nicely as of last episode. Definitely want to keep that going. So thanks, everybody. And I think that is about it. We'll be back next week for a preview of The Art of War. We'll actually do a preview this time, right, Basil? Not going to leave them hanging this week?
No. We got them. We got them next time.
All right, sounds good. Preview of Art of War next week, and then a post. And I think that's about it. So say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.